Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be drafting a basic body pattern. And I just realized that I do not have one on the channel. And this is one of the most important steps when it comes to pattern drafting. So whether you're a beginner or you already have an idea, this video is for you. And these are some of the things you'll be needing. You will need your pattern master, your tape rule, your marker pen, and of course your pattern paper. And these are some of the measurements I'm going to be working with. So make sure you take your own appropriate measurements and mark accordingly. So I'm just going ahead to draw a random straight line, which is going to be our shoulder line. And that is where I'm going to start placing all my measurements from. So the first measurement I'm going to be marking is my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder measurement is 15 inches. So when I divide it by 2, it will give me 7.5 inches. For my neck width, I will be marking 3 inches. And for the neck depth, I will also mark 3 inches. This is just a basic neckline. You can make it into any kind of neckline that you want, or you make adjustments where it is necessary. But for this tutorial, I'm sticking with 3 inches. So the next measurement I'm going to be marking is my shoulder to my bust line, which is 10.5 inches. And then my shoulder to my waist. In front, I have 16 inches, which is different from my shoulder to my waist at the back. So make sure you take your own measurement and know what your difference are. And for my hip line, it's usually 8 inches from my waistline. So I'm going to mark that. And I'll go ahead and repeat all the markings I just did, just to give me a more straight line. And now I'm just going ahead to connect all my markings on a straight line. And afterwards, I'm going to label them so that you don't get confused. So this is the bust line, which is BL, the waist line, and my hip line. So from my shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And I'll connect it to the neck width. That is going to be my shoulder slant. You know that our shoulder is not entirely straight. So from the shoulder slant, we are going to be marking the armhole measurement divided by 2. And for you to get that, you will divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5 inches. And in my case, I have 7.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 7.5 inches. Or sometimes I go up 2 inches from my bust line. That also works for me. So I'm going to connect my markings. And after that, I'll also connect it to the center front. And that is also going to be the chest line. So to get our armhole curve, I'm going to first of all mark the bust circumference divided by 4. And on the armhole line, I will mark the midpoint. So from the shoulder slant, I'm going to connect to the midpoint, then to the point I just marked on the chest line. So using my pattern master, I'm going to connect my points. But if you don't have a pattern master, you can actually use your free hand. So the next measurement is the nipple to nipple measurement. That is the distance from one bust to another bust. So mine is 8 inches. So divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I'm going to mark that on the bust line, waistline, and then the hip line. But before I connect them together, I'm going to go up by 2.5 inches from the hip line. And that is because your dart shouldn't get to the hip line. So I'll go up by 2.5 inches, then I'll connect the points. So for my dart intake, I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. But you can always change your dart intake depending on the kind of blouse or dress you're making. But for the sake of this tutorial, we are going to be sticking to the standard measurements. So from the bust line, I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch. And after that, I'll go ahead and connect all my dart lines. And now I'm going to go ahead and impute the rest of my measurements. So I will mark the waist circumference divided by 4. And I'm going to be adding the 1 inch I will be taking in for the darts. And on the hip line, I will mark the hip circumference divided by 4. And afterwards, I'm going to connect all my points. So for my side darts or the bust darts, I'm going to be taking in what I have as the difference between my shoulder to the waist at the front and my shoulder to the waist at the back. So for me, I have 2 inches difference. So from the bust line, I came down by 2 inches. And from the bust point, I also come up by 1/2 inch. And afterwards, I'm going to connect my points. And that is going to be my bust darts. And now I'm done drafting my front pattern, but before I cut it out, I'm going to be making a slant line just like this. This is just to ensure that we do not have any shortage of fabric by the time we are done taking in the darts. And afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my front pattern. Now, looking at this pattern, you will see that I've not added any sewing allowance, but I'm going to be doing that whenever I want to make use of this pattern. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. And after that, I will set it aside and work on the back piece. So to cut our back pattern, we are going to need a fresh pattern paper, and I'll go ahead and draw a random straight line, just like I did for the front piece. And that is also going to be serving as our shoulder line. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark 1 inch for my zipper allowance, but you can decide to add any zipper allowance that you know you are comfortable with. And after that, I will draw a straight line across. So on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurements divided by 2. I'm just going to be repeating every markings I did for the front piece. And for my neck width, I marked 3 inches. And always take note that your shoulder width at the front should always match with your shoulder width at the back. But for the neck depth, you can always take a different kind of neck depth depending on the kind of neckline you're working with. So for the back, I marked 1 inch, then I extended it to the zipper line. So starting from the shoulder line, I marked the shoulder to the bust line, then the shoulder to the waist. For the back, I have 14 inches. So make sure you take your own measurement and mark it. And for the hip line, I marked 8 inches from the waistline. And when I'm done doing that, I'm going to repeat my markings just like I did for the front piece. And I'll go ahead and connect all my markings on a straight line. So from my shoulder measurements, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, then connect it to the shoulder width, and that is going to be for the back shoulder slants. So from this shoulder slants, I'm going to mark the armhole measurements divided by 2, just like I did for the front piece. And after that, I'm going to connect them together and also connect it to the center back, and that is going to be my chest line. So on the chest line, I will mark the bust circumference divided by 4. And on my armhole line, I will mark my middle point. So from my shoulder slant, I will connect to the middle point, then to the chest line. And that is going to be my back armhole curve. So for my back dart, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I'm going to be marking it on my bust line, my waistline, and then on my hip line. And when I'm done with that, I will go up from the hip line by 2.5 inches. Then I will go ahead to connect the points. And on the waistline, I will mark half an inch on both sides. And when I'm done with that, I will go ahead to connect my dart lines. So the next measurement I'm going to be marking is my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch for my darts. And on my hip line, I will mark the hip circumference divided by 4. And when I'm done with that, I'll go ahead to connect all the points I just marked. So to get rid of the zipper bulge, I'm going to come in by half an inch on the waistline. Then I will slant it to the zipper allowance. And this will be replaced from the waist measurement just to avoid any zipper bulge at the back. And after that, I'll go ahead and cut out my pattern. And that is it for the back piece. So looking at this pattern, you will see that both of them have not aligned at the side seam. But by the time I will take in my 2 inches dart, they will definitely align at the side seam. And that is it, guys. If you know you find this video useful, please give this video a thumbs up because it helps my channel a lot. And don't forget to subscribe, put on your post notification bell so that whenever there is a new video, you will be notified. So until I see you in my next video, stay blessed.